Hey, Warrior Saints. Welcome to today's edition of our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. I am very excited to continue our discussion of the whole armor of God, putting on the whole armor of God. We ended yesterday with looking at having girded our loins with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness. We talked on Monday about standing firm in what we believe. Yesterday we talked about trying to decipher and discern what arguments are actually worthwhile to stand firm in. And looking at that line about girding our loins with truth and putting on the breastplate of righteousness, i.e., following the commandments of God, which is the truth that Christ has laid out for us, we kind of have some insight as to what is of value. What are those arguments that we really want to be a part of versus those things that really we can just let go, we can get out of, we don't have to be engaged in because they are not worthwhile. Today, we're going to look at the next piece of that armor, which St. Paul talks about, which comes to us from Ephesians chapter 6 as well, verse 15, where he says, having shod your feet with the equipment of the gospel of peace. Yesterday and Monday, we talked about where to stand. This one is talking a little bit about where do we walk. If we are going to take on the armor of God and girding our loins with truth, which is that gospel message of Christ, and then we are going to put on that breastplate of righteousness, which is following the commandments of God, then putting our shod afoot, putting our feet, clothing our feet with the equipment of the gospel of peace means that we are going to seek out that truth and that righteousness, that we are going to seek out those commandments of God. We are not going to let our feet take us in places where we don't want to go. We're not going to let our feet get us into these arguments that are of no value. We are going to let our feet guide us towards that gospel of peace. And that peace comes from following the commandments of God. When we've been talking about the chaos that is out there in this world, we spent a whole week last week talking about chaos. And when we ask people, they want peace. St. Paul is telling you that the gospel of peace is the equipment of that gospel of peace are what we are called to clothe our feet, to be set up so that we are walking towards peace, getting through that chaos. And the way we do it is by following the commandments of God, by girding our loins first in truth and then putting on that breastplate of righteousness, following God's commandments, living a life that is crucifixional, living a life that is focused on the other, living a life that will take us through the chaos, out, coming on the other side to that life of peace that we are called searching for. That, as St. Paul says, we are called to clothe our feet in the equipment of. So that we might not just be doing things the same way every day, getting the same results that we've always gotten, being more and more frustrated, more and more weighed down with all of the gunk. And that's why we're here to help you, to get through all of that gunk, to get through the chaos, to help you find out what the gospel of peace is and how you can clothe your feet in its equipment. So visit us, warriorsaints.org. Get on the way of the warrior saint today and find your way through the chaos, having clothed your feet in the equipment of the gospel of peace. Till we see you tomorrow, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.